This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello, welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Merrifield. In a few minutes, I'm going to be joined by our good buddy, Mike Regalado.
Hey, shout out to Mike Regalado. Shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike, indeed. That's from his coverage of Pac-12 Media Day. I did it again, Big Ten Media Day. It's going to be hard to get that down. But it's the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show Network, at What's Bruin Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. What's Bruin Show at gmail.com is the email. Please email us your thoughts coming up to the season, the football season, or even basketball season. I mean, Mick Cronin just did a cool interview with John Rothstein. He's been doing the rounds lately, too, so we're excited about all that stuff. Substack, what'sbruin.substack.com, or patreon.com/what'sbruinshow, or what'sbruinshow.com. All those are ways that you can help the show by subscribing for, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 a month.
$2.
Maybe a little bit more on the Substack. But, help us help you by supporting the What's Bruin Show. We appreciate it. You can also search the show on YouTube. Just search What's Bruin Show in your search bar, and a slideshow will come up with our shows that we do. And you can get What's Bruin Show merch at My Locker site. Look down in the notes. And, of course, you can call the hotline, 805-399-4WBS, Second Reign of Troy. Now, we have had a lot of content for you here in July. First and foremost, we interviewed the sports godfather, Jim Bendat, about his travels around Big Ten country. And that was back on July 11th, and it was a very nice interview that we did. And I want you to go back and listen to that right now. Just stop what you're doing and go listen to that in your feed. It's up in your feed. Just scroll up or down depending on how your little phone works. Also, we did some other interviews this last month as well. A couple with Michael Castillo and Penguin of Troy. From Reign of Troy Radio, we had a nice long talk with Wayne Cook. That was awesome. Talked to UCLA historian Spencer Stuve. And Mike talked to Oregon radio host Steve Tannen about the Ducks and the Big Ten and the Bruins and all that stuff. So a whole bunch of stuff's been going down. I'm going to have another interview in the next week or two, I believe, as well. And then plus you get the bare minimum and you get the West Coast bias. If you like, those are on the feed as well as they have their own feed. So
the West Coast bias.
The bare minimum.
West Coast bias is Jamal talking about LA sports. Maybe I'll hop on there soon too if I have some time. And of course, bare minimum is me and my daughter talking about her career at Berkeley. So if that interests you, you have that to listen to as well. So with that being said, let me get Mike on the old horn here and we'll get on with the show. Thank you so much for listening. All right, well, I am back, and now we have our good buddy, Mike Regalado.
Hey, shout out to Mike Regalado.
Shout out to Mike.
Shout out, Mike. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing, Jake?
I'm very good. Thank you for asking. So, Mikey, you just got back from a trip to Indianapolis. Had you ever been there before?
Mm-hmm. Never. I've driven through the top west corner of Indiana, going from Chicago to Western Michigan, but no, I've never been down to the Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So, and Jake, what do they call law enforcement officers in the Indiana State Capitol?
In the like what's the official name for them, or what's the slang for them?
Yeah, what do they call them?
Troopers?
Indianapolis.
Oh, wow. Where's my rim shot? Jeez. Do I have a rim shot here? Oh, here.
Oh, my God.
There, nice, Mikey. Very good. Starting the show off with a nice dad joke. That's beautiful, Mike.
Here's another. How do cats like their steaks cooked?
How?
Where?
Oh, I like that one. That's good.
Okay, serious.
So, Mike,
yes,
you went to Big Ten Media Day. Stop screwing around. I want to know.
Yeah, so it was the first time I was there. Very small airport, really quick in and out. They had traffic.
They had in out in Indianapolis. That's awesome.
No,
did you get a double?
I did not. I did not. But shout out to the 24/7 sports team who hooked us up both nights. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna get dinner. It's on us." So I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you very much." and a few drinks here and there.
That's cool.
But it was really good to mingle with a lot of the 24/7 sports people and publishers from the Big Ten sites.
How many people was that approximately? I mean, that's like a national big thing. There's a lot of teams. So how many people actually showed up?
For the 24/7 sports kind of like hangout?
Yeah.
The first night, because I went Monday. It started Tuesday, and that was opening remarks and all that. I think I worked until like 2 p.m. Because there was nothing, nothing big for me to do there except, any opening remarks and whatnot. So the first night, there was probably about 8 people. Second night probably grew to about a fluctuation between 12 and 18 people.
Nice.
Yeah, and that Monday night, especially if the teams they were covering weren't there on Monday, a lot of people came on Monday night or Monday during the day for their Wednesday, Thursday sessions.
Gotcha.
But still, it was good to meet like a lot of the publishers and podcasters. I met Bud Elliott there.
That's cool. I got to meet him last year at Media Days. That was fun.
Yeah. I met a lot of the publishers from like Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio State. So they're like, hey, stay in touch, stay in contact. So we have some content. We're going to be talking to some Big Ten peeps in the coming weeks. So that's going to be cool.
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah,
well, so that was how was the travel out there? You said small airport, all that stuff.
Small airport. I'm in traffic for maybe 10 minutes, and you can tell that everybody's frustrated. I'm like, this is nothing.
Did you rent a car? Did you Uber?
I Ubered.
Okay.
It was so close. It was so close.
Yeah.
From the airport, from the freeway, you can see Lucas Oil Stadium just right there. Just this huge factory-looking thing, actually really cool, with the Indianapolis downtown in the backdrop. And at that point, it was like, got off the freeway, and the first exit, Lucas Oil was right there. And 5 minutes later, not even that, 2-3 minutes later, I was at my hotel in downtown Indianapolis. I'm like, this is small. This is a small city.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it just, coming from LA, we come from LA. We're used to this. I'm used to this. And this is what I think of a big time city. I'm not going to say Indianapolis isn't a big time city. It is, but it's small. So humid. It was nice. Like I said, Monday night got to hang out with people from 24/7 Sports on Tuesday. Heard the opening remarks. Got some photos. It was insane just being on the field of Lucas Oil Stadium, and just seeing people that we've met before and meeting new people. Excuse me. Ben Bulch was there. Mr. Will Decker, one of the SIDs that used to work for UCLA. He works for the Big Ten now, so I saw him. So that was pretty cool. And then Wednesday happens, and that's the big day. UCLA is there. Just a quick rundown of schedule. The morning starts with head coach speeches. Then it goes into like little breakout sessions here and there. One of the sessions I was asked at last minute was to do those like one-on-one in front of 2 spotlights in a secluded room with EEEEEEthan Garbers and J. Michael Sturdivant. So I'm waiting to hear where that video is going to be. But yeah, that was pretty cool. That was like, okay, so we basically need you to jump in there and interview them while you're on camera as well. I'm like, well, it's a good thing I brought a shirt today. So
that's funny.
But it was, and then for like 3 hours, it was, little breakout sessions with local media, stuff like that. And then the end of the day is when they were the official breakout sessions on the field in front of the backdrop with all the media. So yeah, it was a busy freaking day. I was pretty exhausted. I think I might have gotten something like 8 videos up, did like 7 interviews. So it was pretty intense. Martin Jarman included, EEEEEEthan Garbers, Jay Toya, J. Michael Sturdivant, and the man himself, Deshaun Foster. So yeah.
That's very cool.
But Jake, the day started with Deshaun Foster.
No, I don't want to get to that yet, Mikey. Hold your horses, buddy.
Okay. All right.
Just relax, buddy. Right. Just slow down a little bit.
Back it up. Rewind.
Slow down. Okay? Like, did I get to go to Pac-12, to Big Ten Media Day?
I'm calm.
I didn't. Did I want to? Yes, I did. Like I was on a streak. I went to like 3 in a row, and then I couldn't go to this one because of stupid work. So whatever.
Jake, I'm giving you a streak freeze for Big Ten Media Days.
Mikey, I appreciate that. I really do. So, anywho, I have some more questions. We talked about what your schedule was or whatever. what was it like going from being in like a freaking club or a bougie hotel or, you know, these small spaces where everybody's kind of like bumping into each other? Because even if it was just the Pac-12, there were still a lot of people there, you know, 12 conferences and a bunch of admin types, a bunch of reporters and stuff. There was a lot of like elbowing around with people. You went from that to a giant NFL stadium that was just like, what was it like being in that sort of a big space? And like, was everything in the big space of the stadium, or was it in the bowels of the stadium, or where were things at?
Yeah, you know what? That conversation actually happened a lot during the day, especially from Pac-12 people. Yeah, as you said, one day, 12 teams, cram it in, everybody get out. This much more space, time and space wise, a lot more openness, time and space wise. Obviously, it's in Lucas Oil. As you said, there'd be like one big event room and then like breakout rooms or whatever, you know. This last year when we went to Vegas, there was that basically big open hall, a lot of tables and just open areas, and then you had the downstairs where, like you said, where the club was, and we got to do individual interviews. This was just kind of like the same thing, except with, you know, sans the disco and rave. Everything was on the field of Lucas Oil Stadium. The big stage was on the north end. Chairs wrapped around the side. The Big Ten Network stages were right behind that, and right behind that were the 6 breakout podiums. And yeah, it was just a lot of space in the locker room area and the stuff under the stands. That's where a lot of the, you know, like food was on one side, and then there were all these literal breakout rooms to do these individual interviews. It was just kind of chaos. It was pretty. It wasn't as bad as Pac-12 Media Day, but there were times where I was like, oh, damn, I'm doing like 4 things at once.
That's
but
funny.
it was good. I was very, very busy.
That's good. And then thinking about the food, right? What were you actually, what were you eating? Not the stuff that the 24/7 popped for at night. Like, what was the food, the spread like at the actual event?
Next day was, Monday was, I had a veggie sandwich, and it was just not good.
Oh.
Portobello, mushroom in it. No, thank you.
Well, you start that off wrong by having a veggie sandwich, but you know, that's okay.
Well, the other sandwich didn't look appetizing. It looked like a bologna ham sandwich, and it just didn't look appetizing either. At least from the site, the veggie one looked thick and hearty, but it was just, you know, sad and disappointing.
That's a shame.
The next day they had like, what did they have? I think they had like chicken wings and stuff like that, which I wasn't into. But they had like all the fixings for Caesar salad. So I think I had like 3 of those.
Nice.
A lot of Dr. Pepper everywhere, because Dr. Pepper is the
sponsor,
national championship sponsor.
Yeah.
Everywhere there were all types of Dr. Pepper. And it was funny. You could only bring water onto the field because I guess they had just recently did coconut shaving sprinkles on it to help with the turf, to preserve it and all that.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, no soda, you know, no sugar, no stuff. We don't want that spilling. So that was kind of trippy. But other than that, that's basically how the day went.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
That was it. Yeah.
So
a lot of coffee and Dr. Pepper.
Very good. Very good. Did you end up getting a swag bag from the Big Ten? Like, you know, we always used to do that.
No, Jake, they did not have a swag bag. And on top of it.
Sounds pumpy.
So nothing started until like 11 a.m. So I got there like, 10:30?
Yeah.
That was still apparently too late for me to even get a notebook. Like, there are 3 days of these things, and the notebook supply ran out before 11 a.m.
Well,
I'm like, what? Strike one, Big Ten. Strike one.
Oh my God.
So no swag bag.
Sounds pumpy.
That's terrible.
You don't do it 10 times. No, don't do it. Don't do it 10 times. Yeah, but I was just like, I was a little disappointed in that. I was like, come on now.
That
at least the
a
Frisbee
Balls
with the Big Ten logo on it.
Oh my God, my guys suck balls. You know it.
If I suck balls, you are king of suck balls mountain.
Yeah, I guess that speaks to the fact that the Big Ten, they don't need any of us. They don't need anything but just to be the Big Ten, right? And to roll other 18 teams out there. Where the Pac-12 is like, please come help cover us and write stories about us, since we don't have a network that actually televises things, and we have to, do smoke and mirrors everything. I guess that's the difference there, right? because they put a lot of, maybe if the Pac-12 would have put more thought into getting their actual games on TV and less on how to impress the the ink-stained wretches reporting on sports, maybe we'd still be in Pac-12 territory. I don't know. Maybe that's a cautionary tale.
We'll see.
There's a moral to that story. All right. Well, that is disappointing. It's disappointing on one level, and then on the other level, it's like, well, I guess I'm not missing nothing, right? Because one of the reasons I really wanted to go was to get the cool.
What did I get?
Big Ten swag.
What the hell did I get? It's here somewhere. I think I got I think it's a schedule magnet.
Oh yeah. Wowza. A schedule magnet? That's awesome.
Oh no. Bowl schedule magnet. So, I guess cool.
That's pretty lame.
I'm like, all right, thanks guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because remember at Pac-12 for like 2 years in a row, they did lots of like buttons and things for all the different bowl games you could be in.
Buttons, pins, notebooks. Although last year's notebook was pretty, they cheaped out on that one.
Yeah, but overall it was obviously it was much better than getting nothing, right?
Yeah, seriously. Thanks, Big Ten.
Yeah, seriously.
Strike one.
Okay. Okay. So Mikey, we got that out of the way then. Let's get around to talking about, we don't need to recap it because everybody who's listening to this show certainly knows what we're talking about when, the actual event, by the way, genius coining of it, Foster's Freeze, right? It's perfect. But Deshaun Foster comes out and kind of lays an egg in his first kind of big stage act for the Big Ten for the school, and walks out and kind of, spaces out a little bit with a very abrupt speech that ends in, we're
kind of an awkward joke.
We're from LA and SC's here too, or whatever. So, in the moment, when that's happening, I know it kind of popped up on our text thread, and you're like, "Yeah, it's kind of like the whole thing," is what you answered back live from Indianapolis. What is your thought on the whole thing? And we'll just get into that discussion from there.
It's like it. Yeah, it was kind of awkward. And yeah, it's Big Ten Media Day, so people are going to run with it. But even days after, people were like, "Oh, even after Foster's response to it, it was still like, oh, did you see his freeze?" I don't think it was a big thing. It's like his first time. Obviously he needs to get coached up on stuff like that because he's not used to it. He hasn't been the head guy, but now he is. He's going to have to figure that out. But hey, you figure that out just like you do football, just like you do math, just like you do, what's wrong with your car, and you move on. You know what to do next time. It seemed a little weird to dwell on it. Because it's like it's a press conference. It's not a football game. And I guess some people were equating it to the fact that like, oh well, what if he freezes up in a game? It's like, oh, and I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's something to be concerned about. And then I thought about it, I was like, well, is it? Because he's been a football player and a coach for a long time. I'm sure he's been in these situations, although now he has to make the ultimate call. But football is a game, is a team game, is a coach's game. There's going to be input from everywhere. It's not going to be, hey, 17 seconds left, you're on the 27, you're down by 4. What are you going to do? He's not going to be like, everybody shut up, let me think. People are going to be saying, hey, coach, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. So it's not a big, I don't think it's a big thing. Obviously, he's probably going to be a little bit more prepared next year. He's probably going to be more prepared in his, whenever he has to speak to like alumni and boosters or whatnot. But, we've seen him kind of freeze up a little bit, in spring, those little scrums. But it's nothing big, like he said, especially when he talked to the media later in the day. Do you get any points for that? No. Are there guys that can go up there and talk and can't coach football? Yeah, of course. So yeah, he knows what he has to do. Probably a little embarrassed, but whatever. You shake it off. Like water off a duck's back. Just move on. There are more important things like actual football. But yeah, no, I think it was a good response to that. But I think he knows now exactly what not to do, or at least to be a little bit more prepared. He did say he is a question and answer guy, not so much a speech guy. But just something simple. It's like, I brought with me quarterback EEEEEEEthan Garbers, Jay Toya, defensive tackle, and wide receiver J. Michael Sturdivant. We're excited to be here at the Big Ten Media Days. I don't really have a lot to say, so why don't we start off with some questions? Boom, done. You move on. But yeah, it was. I think it's just part of the learning curve of being a head coach or being in a position of power like this. You have to know how to do it. And obviously this is his first time. Hey, guess what? His second time, he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, and I pretty much completely agree with your sentiment on that, Mike. But you have to say it. You have to like also acknowledge the fact that he is a first-time coach, and he doesn't have any experience in this regard. So as you go through the season, it might not be related to what's he going to do in crunch time during the game, but there's probably other things, many things that he has yet to experience yet as the head coach of UCLA football, and as he's making decisions on the fly because he doesn't have that experience. This is just an indicator that points to the fact that he's a rookie head coach. And are we going to have some more rookie head coach moments? Yeah, probably, right? And so we have to kind of make room for that in our assessment of how this team will be. And it's certainly an unpredictable factor, right? Like, he could come in, and I think that me and you both agree that up until that point when he walked onto the Big Ten stage, he hadn't had a whole lot to do as the UCLA head coach as far as like on the national scale, but everything he had to do, he kind of nailed, right? He was doing kind of everything right as far as like what the fans were kind of expecting and like the positive results, right? People were kind of happy with what he'd been doing. And so the problem is that this is the first time on the really big stage, and he completely became the story. Well, not only just fumbled, but he became the story of the second day of Big Ten Media Day in a lot.
Welcome to the Big Ten.
And the other part of that's unfortunate. And by the way, just going back to it, like he's probably going to have some more rookie moments, right? And that's a problem. And we just don't know when they're going to pop up. This was one of them, right? But also, when we talk about how UCLA is being regarded heading into the Big Ten, they're being completely unregarded, right? People are just glossing over the Bruins, predicting them to be 15, 16, 17 in the conference, or 14, 15, or whatever. And they're like, Chip Kelly used to be the coach, now he's not. They hired a coach very late in the cycle. It's Sean Foster. He's a former player, no head coaching experience. They lost a defensive coordinator and a couple of the best players to SC, or at least one, and Kamari Ramsey. And they had a really good defensive line last year, and they lost a bunch of guys to the pros from that line. And Dante Moore transferred, right? There's no nuance there. Nobody's there to point out when you say, Dante Moore transferred, that, Dante Moore actually sucked when he played for the Bruins, to a large regard. There's nothing that's what the overall storylines are. And so when Sean Foster comes out and kind of lays an egg in his press conference, then that's what people are just like, okay, fine, we can keep dismissing the Bruins, right? And it becomes the story of the Big Ten Media Day. And when you listen to some of the other national, to all the just little wrap-ups, like the wrap-up that, any of the little minor Big Ten podcast networks do on UCLA or as they go through their kind of roll call of what happened at Media Day, they're like, UCLA, they're probably not going to do very good. They have a hard schedule. They lost their coach. And, Deshaun Foster, like, choked up on it during his Media Day appearance. Everything they talk about UCLA then becomes what happened at Media Day, right? Now, a month from now, when they're actually playing games, it's not going to matter because we're going to know what the Bruins' records are. Either it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. But for now, it just kind of continued the narrative of UCLA is probably not ready to enter the Big Ten and probably not ready for the big stage right now. And so in that regard, I don't think it was very helpful to the Bruins in one way, but in the other way, it kind of helps them stay like solidly under the radar, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, I mean, they're already predicted to be 14, 15, 16 in the conference, and Deshaun Foster coming out there and saying, and fumbling the ball basically just kind of reinforces whatever their ideas were that UCLA is not going to be very good, right? They're already discounting what the Bruins can be this year, and now they're discounting the fact that they got a rookie head coach and he didn't do anything to kind of impress anybody. So it's just it allows them to kind of push the Bruins to the side again and talk about anybody else, the Ducks or the Trojans or Wisconsin or Rutgers or whatever, because they can have their little thought bubble about Deshaun Foster and then dismiss everything else about the Bruins because it's not like anybody's kind of paying attention.
I guess so, but just going back to what Deshaun Foster said, is like, you get any points on the board for messing up or having a solid speech? Will a good speech, someone that's good at speech and debate and all that, well, are they going to be automatically good at football? No, he fumbled. He knows what's up. But if anything, you are right that it gave UCLA some attention, maybe some bad attention. But hey,
bad attention.
now they get now you have to listen to the rest of what he says.
Well, that's my point, is that they're really not. Like, they just latch onto that. And, to give you an example, and we can kind of like move this out of the effect that, just specifically Deshaun's press conference, because the rest of the day, like when he goes on CBS Sports, the Cover 3 podcast, he sounded great. When he goes on to the other interview shows with all the national writers, he was fine, but that's not what everybody's focused on, right? They're not focused on what he said on Cover 3 podcast. They're focused on what he did on the big national thing, and that's what made all the sound bites, and that's what got coined as Foster's Freeze. I mean, kind of by definition, if the thing that the UCLA head coach did at Big Ten Media Day is he came out as a meme, right? And with a name, Foster's Freeze, by definition, it was certainly negative overall to whatever the cachet the program has, right? However, I kind of agree with you, Mike. It's just the moment right now at a stupid press conference. That's not going to mean anything if they start winning. Now, if they lose, if they turn out, I think their win total is 5.5 or whatever, and they come out and they win 3-4 games, then do you think that people are going to be bringing up how Deshaun Foster wasn't ready for the big spotlight and just look at Big Ten Media Day? That will come out as evidence of why they are failing.
That's a good point.
Whereas if they overachieve, then nobody's going to fucking bring this up, or they're going to say, yeah, look, that meant nothing at Big Ten Media Day, and they'll use it as a funny anecdote, right? It will, no matter what, it's going to reinforce what the results, it's going to, after the fact, kind of reinforce what the results on the field are. It'll be like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, in one way or another. But
okay,
right now, while we're waiting for the fucking games, this is all we have to dwell on. And it's like, the thing I wanted to ask about, Mike, was, you were at Big Ten Media Day. You're a reporter for Bruin Report Online at Big Ten Media Day. And
when did this happen?
Yeah, right. Hey, Mike, shout out to Mike.
Hey, shout out to Mike Regalado. Mike
Sup,
Regalado.
Big applause, Big Mike.
Right. I hope you punch this guy in the balls.
Iron Mike.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Did you see Will? Did you say hi to Will? Did you punch Will
I
in
did.
the balls?
And Ryan. Okay, good. I did not.
Well, I love those guys.
It's not my thing. It's not my style.
If I was there, I would have punched him with the balls. That's okay. Anyways, you're out there as the reporter for Bruin Report Online, okay? And you're there with a bunch of other reporters for different outlets for all these teams, and when you left Big Ten Media Day, what was your overall impression of how the UCLA Bruins football team is perceived in relation to the rest of the conference? That's really, what
no
we're
change. No change.
No change from what?
Especially from what the people, especially the East Coasters, the the Westerners, think about UCLA football. I don't think that they have a total grasp, which is fair to say, because UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington people probably don't have a total grasp on what Indiana, Wisconsin, Rutgers football is, unless you are like, hyper focused and watch every single game every single year. We all have a lot to learn from it, but there's. The players said what they needed to say. The coaches said what they needed to say. Should I give one of my big takeaways from their interviews?
Yeah.
One thing that stood out, like I keep trying to ask without going deep into it, and this started when I was doing those interviews at the college EA Sports College Football 25, that event. I asked, what's the in not being so direct, what's the offense going to be like? And everyone's just kind of like, yeah, I can't say anything right now, but it's going to be like this and this and this. And even J. Michael Sturdivant, he said it's going to be explosive, which that's a bold statement coming from a team that is in transition as they are. And I hope they're right. He seems very excited about it, and a lot of the offensive players seem excited about it. But we actually don't know what the heck they're going to do. I personally think it's going to be a lot more balanced than the last few years. We know that Chip Kelly liked to run the ball, but with the depth in the wide receiver room, I think they have the ability to, make some explosive plays. And Jake, if you haven't already, did I tell you this last week? I don't know if I did. Go check out the second half of the LA Bowl. It is like night and day how they went from the first half to the second half. And especially the running effort of TJ Harden and the chemistry and connectivity between Ethan Garbers and J. Michael Sturdivant, it's going to be huge. So I just think it's people aren't really understanding what UCLA is or can do, or what they have. I do think they. I think they're still very talented. Are they as talented as the last few years? Maybe not, but I don't think that they are a 2-3 win team. I think that they could win 6 or 7 games.
No, and I think that's fine, but that's kind of my point too, is that we know what we think about what UCLA is and what their situation is, but I don't think anybody else in the Big Ten really gives a flying crap. And they are very happy to just dismiss the Bruins, even though there's 4 teams coming into the Big Ten. The basic kind of the process that goes through when you get onto any of these outlets that are talking about the new Big Ten with the 4 teams coming in is, UCLA's or USC's coming in with all their history. Washington's coming in. They were just in the national title game. Oregon's coming in. They could win the Big Ten. And, there's UCLA. And they have Deshaun Foster, who just choked up on stage. And they lost a whole bunch. And Chip Kelly used to be their coach. So they're going to suck. And they have a tough schedule. They travel a lot. That's pretty much just the points that everybody hits. And just to kind of to give an example of that, there's a podcast. It's an NBC Sports podcast called Big Ten Preview, right? They did their Big Ten. This is the episode title: Big Ten Preview. USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon. Welcome to the party. All 4 schools are in the title, right? Well, the actual episode is they interview a reporter from SC, a reporter from Oregon, a reporter from Washington for like 25 minutes each, and then at the very end, they spend like 7.5 minutes talking about UCLA, 5 of which is about the Foster's freeze, and 2.5 of which was, UCLA, they lost a lot of guys and they're going to struggle. End of story. So that's and by the way, I'm not.
Wow, that is a slap in the face.
I'm not really hating on them, other than the fact of you couldn't find you had just take UCLA out of your title if you're going to treat them like that, right? That was my biggest problem with that. But that's not unusual.
Well, in a way. And like this, apparently the Indiana coach said, like, I'm not worried about that game. We're basically going to, I'm paraphrasing, we're basically going to an old stadium to win a game. I'm like, okay. All right, Hoosiers, that guy's stepping up to the plate.
Who do you remember who asked that question? Was that Will Decker asking about?
I don't know, but I heard that later. I wasn't there for that actual.
That was a spicy take.
Quote.
I can't wait till we get to that game.
Yeah, I was like, oh, really? Okay, Indiana.
I'm hella worried about that game, by the way. But yes, I mean,
it's, but yeah, and then and this wasn't directed at UCLA, but another take that I thought was just like, dude, really? Have you seen yourself? Is when Lincoln Riley said that we're always at the top of the conference. We're at the top of the Big Ten right now, and I'm like, really? Because yes, you ended up in 5th place last year. Not really the top of the conference. So, and that was a conference where 6th place would be midway through. 6th place in the Big Ten, that's a third of the way up. So there's a difference, but still, it hasn't really been a top of the conference type of team. I mean, kind of got their butts kicked by Utah in that one game, and then Tulane next bowl game. I'm just saying, Jake. I'm just saying. Hot takes everywhere.
No, you're right. You're right. But
no, you're right. Like, look,
SC gets the benefit of the doubt because they have Lincoln Riley as their coach and because they have the history of SC, right? And unfortunately, UCLA's history has been, for the most part, dormant for the last 2.5 decades. And that's what's kind of shooting us in the foot. And hopefully, Foster can bring that back around. And if they can succeed in the Big Ten, if they can turn in good seasons, respectable seasons in the Big Ten, that will go a long way towards changing UCLA's image. But as of right now, that's kind of bringing it back home. They are they are the epitome of. They're probably, in my opinion, like the most disrespected team in the Big Ten, but they're also. That they're also flying solidly under the radar, which might be a good thing for them as they're going through this transition. That too, So it's,
if nobody knows about the team, that's hard to prepare for.
Yeah, exactly. And just my other example I want to throw out real quick about what we're talking about on another show I was listening to. What the reporter said was, they lost Dante Moore last year as their quarterback, but I think Chase Garbers is still a pretty serviceable quarterback.
Oh dear God!
Right. So I mean, and look,
Nice.
it's it's fine. Garbers does have a brother. Like he's got their whole gaggle of Garbers out there, right? And so it's an easy mistake. But just the fact that it's part of 47 seconds out of a 2-hour podcast that they'll spend talking about UCLA, like those things kind of are like a needle in my ear a little bit to a degree. But like I said, sleep on the Bruins and give them a chance to overachieve, and that'll be good. Yeah,
exactly.
We'll see how it goes. All right. Mikey,
Yeah.
do you have anything else on Media Day?
No.
All right. Well, let's get to the symposium then.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality, women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
No, we're not having a Fresca tonight. But Mikey, you're having a beer, I'm sure.
What's up, yo?
I'm having some whiskey.
Oh yeah.
And it is.
I was at the Trader. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a What's Brewing Symposium, conversation over drinks, and that's what we're having tonight. Mikey, what are you having? It sounds like you went to Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I went to Trader Joe's and I saw this. I was like, huh. Yeah, it is the Trader Joe's brand, Botswain Hazy IPA. And, I'm starting to like the hazies a little bit more, so I wanted to try this one. It's pretty good, especially for a $6 six-pack. Hells yeah. So, if you want to drink cheap, drink Trader Joe's. Especially since they have their,
Put that on a poster.
what is it? They have the two buck chuck.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
I've never tried that.
I haven't either.
Jake, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not a wine drinker, but that's okay. I think Sarah likes it. No, it's stone fruit season again, so I have infused some more whiskey with some flavor, and I took some out to my brother-in-law Scott's 50th birthday party, and I did some Cherry Knob Creek this time, and it tastes pretty good. Comes in pretty hot at 100 proof, but it's a real simple process. It only takes about a week, and it turns out pretty nice. So that's what I'm drinking right now. Of course, we appreciate your support. This conversation over drinks that we're having, and for just a couple bucks a month.
$2.
How much, Mike?
$2.
You could
$2.
That's right. You can send the What's Brewing Show into the future by supporting us on our Substack, whatsbrewing.substack.com, or on Patreon, patreon.com/whatsbrewing show, or just whatsbrewing.com. And help our little pirate ship sail off into the future, and you'll get some access to the Slack channel and some bonus shows now and again, and we'll see how it goes. But thank you very much, everyone out there, and I guess let's get on with the show. Mikey, cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers, sir.
Blue 32! Blue 32! California! California! Hood! Hey! Football.
I know we just talked some football, Mikey, but you want to talk about something that's starting soon, and that is UCLA summer fall camp. It's firing up, what, tomorrow? The next day?
Begins on Wednesday, August 31st. Tomorrow,
Wow.
Jake, from when you and I are talking.
For July 31st.
There's also my
July 31st.
July 31st. August 30th. UCLA at Hawaii.
Yeah, there we go.
It's also my son Hugo's birthday, so happy birthday to him.
Oh, happy birthday, Hugo.
Doing some stuff later in the day for him, but that'll be fun. I finally have all three of my children in double digits.
Pretty crazy.
I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, so starting tomorrow, there will be practice reports coming out of UCLA's fall camp, day one. Bruin Report will be there. All the other local outlets will be there. And before we get into
what's up to Williams.
What's up, dude?
Yeah.
I will probably see him on Thursday. I'm going to be there on Thursday with
Nice.
my own eyes. I just wanted to chat with you about, what are 5 key factors for UCLA going into this season? I was thinking about camp, but I think with camp we're going to learn more about this team. So I might just kind of wanted to actually jump to the season, just from what we know, what we've seen, and like you said, a lot of people. If someone's actually listening to our podcast about the ins and out of UCLA, what perfect way to do this with 5 factors. So how should we do this, Jake? You want to go back and forth one. Should I go first with my 5 and
you're definitely going
your
first. You're definitely going first, and let's do it in like least important to most important if you can do it, or in no particular order if you can't, because I'll tell you what, I'm writing mine down right now, and I'm not in any particular order. But if you can do it in order of least important to most important, let's try that way. Does that work?
Okay.
And of course, you are starting.
So my number 5.
Number 5.
I would number 5 for Mike.
Number 5.
Special teams will be massively improved, and not just because of more a focus on the scheme, but because they are actually recruiting scholarship players. Like they have the kicker from Cal. What's his name? Mateen. I had it right here. Bagani.
Yeah.
He was, I think he was first or second on Cal in most points scored last season.
And he didn't even start
53.
He came on late too, like after a few games.
Yeah.
No, he's huge.
And I think it's just, there's just instead of just having walk-ons come in and just try to fill in, because I honestly think that Chip Kelly's hubris was still in play even that last season, where it's like, well, why are you not recruiting actual level 5 scholarship worthy players and just getting, bringing these walk-ons in? Do you think you're going to score every time down? That obviously was not the case last year, maybe the previous 2 years, but I think Deshaun Foster understands how important special teams are, and it's not just 2 facets of the game, but 3 facets. And just having these players that can come in and are already have experience shows me that this is something he's not taking for granted. This is something he has to nail, and it's just gonna reap the benefits, and not just from a scoring perspective, but from like being receiving team, the kicking team, all that stuff. It just seems like there's more of a focus on it this season. Number 4.
Oh,
I think
easy, Tiger.
Sorry.
We're alternating. Sorry. We're alternating, bro. Why you?
I thought we were going.
Why you stepping on my thing?
Thought you weren't done, bro.
I'm not gonna let you just say 5 things in a row, and then I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna let you talk for like 25 minutes. Like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F that, Mike. It's a
Jake,
conversation.
You're rambling.
Your
rambling,
favorite
Jake.
podcast is the conversation, and
you're
now
you're rambling, Jake.
We can't even have a conversation, bro. Oh my lord, Mikey.
Okay, well, I thought you were still writing, dude. I thought you were still writing.
Hey, Mike. Secret. Here's a secret for you. You vamped just long enough. I literally wrote down my 5th thing right when you were finishing. So Mike, kudos.
Hells yeah! All right then.
That's good.
Number 5.
Go
Jake.
Bruins. Go Bruins.
Go
Bruins. So number 1, I want to acknowledge this. My number 4 was your number 5. The special teams thing.
Nice.
I want to respond to that. That is absolutely, positively a huge thing as far as I am concerned. Because if you go back, I'm going to start back the last time UCLA kind of had a pulse, or the last good teams, right? We're talking the Jim Mora years, right? 12, 13, 14.
I was just thinking about that. I think I know where you're going with this.
Well, I'm just going to go from 2012 to 2023. That's like 11 years of history, right? In 2012, the leading scorer for the Bruins was Bieniemy Fairbairn, right? The kicker. In 2013, the leading scorer was Bieniemy Fairbairn, the kicker. In 2014, the leading scorer was Bieniemy Fairbairn, the kicker. Those were 3 really good years, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just good because Bieniemy Fairbairn was good. It was good because the team was good overall. But guess what? Your special teams, your field goal kicker, should be your leading scorer most years out of not. Guess who was the leading scorer in 2015? Bieniemy Fairbairn. Who was the leading scorer in 2016? Not Fairbairn, because he graduated. It was our favorite beer producer, J.J. Molson.
Oh, yeah.
2017, J.J. Molson again. 2018, J.J. Molson again. So for 7 straight years, your leading scorer was your freaking kicker. Oh, gee whiz. I wonder who it was in 2019. Molson sucked. It was Josh Kelly. Josh freaking Kelly, I should say. Now we're into the Chip Kelly years. In 2019, it was Demetric Felton. In 2021, Barmira just barely edged out Zach Charbonnet. 22, Barmira again. 23, TJ Harden edges out RJ Lopez. My point being is, it's no coincidence that like 4 out of, how many years was Kelly here? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years or whatever. It's no coincidence that half of the years that Kelly was here, the field goal kicker wasn't the leading scorer, probably for a reason, is because he didn't put enough effort into getting a good freaking kicker, and that cost the Bruins games. Absolutely cost the Bruins games. Am I right, Mike?
Oh, totally.
So,
and
go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to add I thought you were going to mention it, but when they had a proper special teams coordinator like Ulbrich, not only was he an awesome linebackers coach, but he did wonders for that special teams. I think they had 3 takeaways that season on special teams alone, or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, just the importance of how special teams can just swing a game. And yeah, it just seemed like Kelly just never embraced that.
Oh, and I'll take it another step further. Like, I want to say, like, from 2012 to 2017 or whatever, the Kaimi Fairbairn years, the JJ Molson years, they were averaging, well over 5 points per game for the most part for both of those kickers. And by the time we get to the last year, Chip Kelly, last year, RJ Lopez, God rest his soul. I don't know, I think the young man, I hope he lives a long and fruitful life, but not as the Bruins kicker.
He's not dead. He's not dead.
Sub 5 points last year. He only averaged freaking 4.5 points a game, for goodness sakes, right? That's a problem. That is a problem.
Yeah.
And by comparison,
especially when the offense isn't scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely, right. By comparison, let me look at Bieniemy last year. If I can find this little thing. Mikey, say a couple things real quick.
Yeah, I have that number right here. He has 53 points from last season alone.
And that, like I said, that's only in like 3/4 of the game. So, it's just real important that the Bruins get their special teams turned around. And Mike, I think that is an excellent way to start this conversation. So yeah, my number 4 ended up being your number 5. My number 5.
Yeah. 5. Number 5.
Thank you very much, Mike. Goes back to what we were just talking about, and that was, in the last segment, and that is, hopefully the Bruins can get through this season with a minimum of Deshaun Foster freshman mistakes, with a minimum of Foster freezes, right? And I think, like we said, we don't want to beat a dead horse, but we talked about in the last segment, there's the potential there for this, right? And I think the Bruins season could be hamstrung if he comes out and has a lot of rookie flubs, or they could really do well if they kind of minimize that, right? And it's not a apples for apples comparison. It's it is not a 1-for-1 thing, but I just think back to, Jim Moore's first year as the UCLA head coach, and that game against Cal, when they should have won that dang game. They should have won 10 games that first season, but they come out and had this inexplicable loss, right? And it was just a weird, stupid loss. And I think I watched it at a now closed bar in Chatsworth, because that was the only place you could see it on the Pac-12 network. So almost nobody saw that loss, but it was still a loss that was inexplicable. And I think that it's very important for the Bruins this year, for Foster. He already had his big flub at Media Day. He needs to minimize that for them going into this season. That's my number 5, Mikey. What's your number 4? 4.
Number 4. EEEEEEEthan Garbers is much better than everyone thinks he is. Just like as you were talking about earlier, how the Big Ten media or Big Ten fans in general have no clue or don't seem to care to learn about UCLA. They don't know that EEEEEEthan Garbers is very athletic.
Mikey,
like, I'm going to go back, and I know.
I thought his name was Chase.
Oh no, that was his brother Davis.
Oh, you know what his name is?
My name is
Ethan.
Just call me Ethan.
See, I wish you could send that to reporters. His name is Ethan. Just call him E.
No, Biggie, EEEEEEthan Garbers. It's only one half, but there are also other games where he showed some poise, and especially after last season, how much of a disappointment it was, how just weird and awkward it was. And now he even said that, I'm paraphrasing, but he has a little bit more freedom now, which that's kind of cool. If he does have that freedom and the coaches see and utilize his talents, which I think, like even UCLA fans probably don't see it all, but like you and me and us in the media, we kind of scrutinize this stuff all the time. Just going back and looking at his style and his poise, his strength, his accuracy. Last week or the week before, I think we talked about how Garbers was maybe 13th or 14th ranked quarterback in the Big Ten. I think he's much higher than that.
Yeah, I think it's a ridiculous ranking.
I just think he has experience. He's athletic. He knows how to work under. handle himself under pressure. He has a brother in the pros, so that's something that he's looking forward to. And he, no, I think his brother's name is Ethan.
Oh, wait. No, I think that's wrong.
Anyway, and he has a whole crew of NFL quarterbacks who know how to develop them, and especially in this quote unquote explosive offense that J. Michael Sturdivant describes it as.
We hope.
We hope, yes. Fingers crossed. I think we're going to be able to see. I think Ethan Garbers is going to surprise a lot of people, but it shouldn't, because that's just who he is.
Yeah, he's not going to surprise us. He's going to surprise a lot of people. And I think that's all the people that are thinking his name is Chase and that he was Dante Moore's understudy last year, right? Look, and I don't want to kick any more dirt onto Dante Moore's grave, but I think we both agree that he's probably not going to see the field in Oregon this year, barring some sort of significant injury to their guy, who also was linked to the Bruins at some point. So what's this with the Oregon Bruin quarterback nexus? I don't get that thing. But Mikey,
don't know.
Your number 4 was Ethan Garbers' play overall. My number 4 is actually
special teams.
It's not my number 4. It's my number. It's my number 3, because my number 4 was special teams. Yeah, but we're all over the place with this. But mine was Ethan Garbers' health. Right. The young man needs to stay on the field. The young man needs to play a lot of games for the Bruins. He is coming into this season, and last year, he got sat for 3 games because Chip Kelly chose to play Dante Moore, the hot freshman, hot in his heels after that Coastal Carolina game, for almost all of the San Diego State game, then the NC Central game, and the Utah game, and then he didn't play at all in Washington State and Oregon State, right? And then he comes back on for the season, and he plays against Stanford, Colorado, Arizona. And he gets hurt against Arizona, right? Doesn't play against Arizona State in one of the worst losses of the Chip Kelly era. FU Chip Kelly for that one. And then he barely plays against California. Correct me if I'm wrong about this, Mike, right? And then he comes in late in the Boise State game or in the second half and kind of tears it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Garbers,
because of an apparent injury.
When he's been on the field for the Bruins, he's been pretty darn good, right? Certainly good enough to maximize what you said, Mike, the talents of the skills that the Bruins seemingly have in their stable this year. To me, the biggest thing, the most important thing about Garbers this year, because I think he will prove to be a very serviceable Big Ten quarterback if he can stay healthy for the season, right? And that, to me, is a very important factor for the Bruins. In fact, it's my number 3 factor, Mikey. What is your... So wait, we did your number 5 was special teams, then your number 4 was Garbers. My number 5 was Foster, and my number 4 was special teams. We talked about that. And my number 3 was Garbers. Okay. So I only have 2 left, Mikey. Somehow.
I have 3 left.
And you have 3 left.
My
so
number 3.
Your number 3.
My number 3.
Numero
3.
3.
We're still going to get sued. I think linebacker play is going to be pretty solid this year, specifically because Kei Madrano and Olufemi Oladejo are going to have breakout seasons. UCLA is definitely going to miss Muasau, who, that guy, I just absolutely loved him. Soft-spoken, kind of like Foster, but hard-hitting. But you have to replace that. You have to try to figure out how to get someone in the middle of the field, the defensive field, to lead the defense forward. You also lose, the Latus and the edges and all that. So I think the strength and experience and knowledge of Madrano and Oladejo are just going to help out UCLA, because didn't have big seasons, but they had some big games. And now that they are going to be the leaders, and just from what I saw in spring, it looks like they are becoming the leaders that the middle of the field needs them to be, that the defense needs them to be. Kei Madrano looked very good. I actually think I'm kind of holding on to this, that Kei Madrano looked really good coming off the edge many different times in spring. I would not be surprised if he's moved to edge, but he's also needed, or at least do like a hybrid, OLB edge position. Oladejo, I think he would make a really good middle linebacker. But even behind them, there are some really good players that can that are pretty talented. Not, they're, not the likes of Alabama or Georgia, but I mean, these are names that we've known for a while. Hopefully Ali Cahoe, is healthy and can finally play, but having Jalen Woods or John Vaughns. I also heard a few of the Bruins said that Carson Schweinsinger was looking very good. And that guy, I think, was he a former walk-on? I can't remember, but he's a redshirt junior, who's just getting a lot of attention. There's also Joseph Vaughn's graduate transfer. These are just there's a lot of talent here, but I think it's going to start with Oladejo and Medrano.
No, and I think that's very fair, and I think you're right, Mike. I think people are sleeping on talking about what they lost, but they're sleeping on what they still have as far as like the bodies they have in that front seven.
Yeah.
They may not have the bona fide NFL ready first round draft picks, like they lost going in, from last season. But my number 2 is kind of right along with that. You're talking about the linebackers. I'm talking about just the offensive and defensive lines that these guys have, and you're talking about kind of the depth they have at linebacker, and I think that's going to be an area of certainly some great significance. And I think you're right, Mike. I think that out of these guys, hopefully they can figure out a way to generate some sort of outside pass rush using the athletes they have at linebacker. Right? That's going to be a huge thing. But also, one of the storylines that has come out of Big Ten and UCLA and USC and not Oregon so much because everybody's like acknowledges that they recruit like crazy, but is that, are the LA schools ready for the physicality that the Big Ten is going to bring, right? And they always said, oh, all these big giant guys out there, no, they're not going to deal with these like soft LA guys. You can't get these big guys in LA. And I would just like to point out that, one of the things that Chip Kelly did right in his years in Westwood was, for the most part, they had some pretty big bodies playing pretty well as far as like, the things that Big Ten folks would value, the running game, right, and stopping the run. Those are all things that UCLA did right for the last 6 years. They couldn't cover a pass to save their lives, right, up until last year. Right. And the offense would kind of be sporadic in a couple of the off years for Kelly, but they got big bodies playing offensive line and defensive line. And I would just like to point out the fact that I defy you. I dare you to go to any Big Ten roster and you find a offensive line 2 deep that is, not within 5% plus or minus of, across the line. Your 2 left tackles, 6'5", 310, both of them. Your left guards, 6'5", 310 and 6'3", 310. Your center, 6'5", 315, right? And then your backup is 6'5", 285. And then another guy behind that is 6'4", 310, right? The right guard, 6'3", 350 and 6'5", 335. And by the way, all of these guys I've mentioned but one are juniors and seniors. And then your right tackles, 6'6", 310 and 6'6", 295. One of those is a junior, one of those is a redshirt freshman, right? They have the beef on offensive line, and it's about getting them to play well. But as far as talking about size and physicality, they have all the beef they need on the offensive line, let alone on the defensive line, where one of their best players is the guy that they kept from transferring, and that is none other than Jay Toya. But their defensive tackle room is stacked. Keanu Williams is 6'5", 310. Siale Tuapaki is 6'4", 310. Jay Toya is 6'3", 325, and he's a beast. And Gary Smith, 6'2", 315. They, and those aren't even all the bodies that they have. So I know Gary Smith is injured. But the point I'm trying to make is that I think that's something that's going to come in and going to give UCLA an opportunity to surprise. And that is, they're going to come in, and if Big Ten teams want to bang with them, and am I talking about the Ohio States and the freaking Michigans?
Whoa!
Well, are they on the schedule this year, Mikey? No, they are not.
No, I was just saying they want to come in and bang with them. I'm like,
we came to bang a bang, man.
Where is my mind?
I know, it's all right.
Where is my mind?
They want to come in, and they want to bang with the Bruins. And we will oblige them. The Bruins will oblige them. It's okay. Mike, control yourself. Control yourself. The Bruins will oblige them. Okay? They got the big bodies, right? And I am looking forward to seeing those matchups because, that is something that I think is being very, very underrated about UCLA if they have if the offense is not overly complicated, which will lead me into my next point. But Mikey, I want to get to your number 2.
Numero dos. What do I have here? The transfers. Looking back, I don't know. For some reason, it seemed like the transfers were slightly underwhelming. But looking back to see what UCLA is bringing in, they're bringing in some key players. And I don't want to go down the whole list, but like we talked about how badass Ramon Henderson looked, the Notre Dame safety transfer, and we talked about Rico Flores. Brian Addison, who was at Oregon, huge offensive line pickups in Ruben Unije and I need to practice his name. Mahikalele. And then UCLA got a huge running back transfer from Michigan State last week in Jalen Berger. They're just. I think it's all going to come together. When first looking at these players, you're like, okay, you did this, and I even do it too. Some people go like, oh, he's from Yale. Can they play? It's like, yeah, clearly they can play. But it's more like, can they play the position? Can they play what you require of them? Can they play, 1 or 2 reps and they have to come? It just depends. Many different factors. And these are guys who not only did well in different aspects of their career at their season last year at their old school, but they just seem like they can help out. Now, it's not something crazy like the UCLA men's basketball team brought in, like guys who are just scoring, and playing like 25 minutes a night. No, not exactly, but they are bringing in some really key players, and I think these transfers are going to help patch up those holes and help, hopefully, make this offense explosive as it has been described as.
No, I completely agree with that, man. And if these guys, the guys they brought in, kind of pan out, like we think that they were already fairly, they're doing pretty well from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
Then you talk about the guys that they add, and I think you're absolutely right, dude. I think that there is a lot to work with there. Which, kind of, Mikey, what is I guess that just leads me right into my number 1, right? And the number 1 thing I am most concerned with the UCLA Bruins in 2024 is, I mentioned this last week on our pod as well, talking about the transfer of Jalen Berger, and that is God, I hope that Eric Bieniemy is able to coach a good offense in college, and I hope he's, this is going to be a good offense, because I am terrified that it's going to be, Kenny DePalamalu part 2, or I'm terrified that it's going to be, Carl Durrell part 2, as far as like how those offenses were. And do I think it's going to be like that? No, I think they are going to be good. I think Eric Bieniemy is a much different coach than he was in 2011 and 12 in Colorado when he was the offensive coordinator for the worst offense in the Pac-12 under another first-year head coach, John Emery, right? They averaged under 20 points a game. I don't think that's the Eric Bieniemy that UCLA hired this year. I have faith that he's going to be able to put together a pretty good college offense with the parts that they have. However, there is a version of events, a darkest timeline, if you would, that takes all this talent that the Bruins have, throws them into a system that is overly complicated and has them thinking too much and not playing enough, and all of a sudden they are struggling through games and aren't able to put together first downs or points or anything else. And to me, that is the most important factor of this whole season is, can the Bruin offense live up to the talent that we know is on the offense? And I think in large part that goes onto the plate of one Eric Bieniemy. And that until that question is answered, because the last 2 times he was an offensive coordinator, not under Andy Reid with the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes and all the offensive talent, he was last in the Pac-12 with the Colorado Buffaloes over 10 years ago, so I'm giving him a pass on that. But last year he piloted the Commanders to the 24th out of 32 best offenses in the NFL. So I'm not going to say it's not in the back of my mind a little concerning, even if I think that, and all signs that we've seen point to him, hopefully having a good offense over the Bruins. But I am worried about that, Mikey. How do you feel about that particular issue?
Number one.
No, what
Jake,
do you think about Mike? Talk about Eric Bieniemy. Oh, he's
well, exactly. My number one is it expands off of that because same thing. We don't know what Eric Bieniemy can do as an offensive coordinator at UCLA. Okay, he was an offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs, but was he? Now it's all him. It's all him and Deshaun Foster and the rest of the coaching staff who has a lot of which all have a lot of NFL experience, coming together and trying to make this thing work. And if these kids are saying that they're excited about it and that it's going to be explosive, they need to get this. Key factor is if this is, especially because, like you, Jake, I think there is still a lot of talent on this team. It's not like Alabama level talent or Michigan from last year, but there's still some talent. Like this cupboard is. Someone said the cupboard is bare for UCLA. I do not think that at all.
No, you still spent an hour talking about that.
Exactly. You still have DeGiorgio, Harden, Keegan Jones, Garbers, Maliki Monteveo. This offense, sad what happened to Hudson Havermill, but you're right. There's still a lot of good talent on here. And if they can put it together, if they can, get ticky-tack yards, here and there, I don't think they're going to be a huge downfield threat, but I think they're going to be methodical. I don't know. Well, that's the thing. Actually,
they have a million wide receivers. They can all run fast and catch things.
Exactly. If this is supposed to be explosive, why not? I mean, let me rephrase it. I think the majority of their game plan, their scheme, will be dink and dime. But yeah, I mean, why not? They have some explosive players. Harden shows that he can get downfield in no time. Sturdivant is just a freaking speedster. Yeah. If you're going to be confident in saying that you have an explosive offense, then the key factor for me is proving it, going out there, showing everyone what's up, showing the Big Ten that you can battle, especially against tough defenses. And that's my number one. The offense soaking in, and the coaches, properly implementing this system so that these talented players can put themselves in position to be successful.
And that's kind of the point, right? They're talking about, you're talking about headlines about the players talking about being explosive and all that stuff. And it's not like these guys are me trying to learn how to play the NCAA 25 video game in a league with Michael Castillo and the Penguin of Troy with like 30 other very experienced players. And I'm sitting there trying to run the option. And I didn't throw one pass until the end of the game in my last game because I'm not good at that. And I'm not going to try to be good at that. So I'm like running the ball like the whole gosh darn time. And I had some success at it, and I'm happy with that. But that's not what the Bruins are, right? They might be a West Coast offensive team, but it's, they're going to be, probing side to side. Like you said, Mike, a little bit of dinking and dunking, but the dinking and dunking is supposed to set up the more explosive stuff downfield. They have the tools to be
that's a good point.
Any kind of to be a good offense, and a good offense takes advantage of what the defense is giving them, and the good offense kind of exploits things and is able to drive the field, but also get some big plays. And that's what we should be hoping for out of the talent that the Bruins have this year, that we, going back all the way back to the beginning, believe that most of the people reporting on the Big Ten are sleeping on a little bit. However, we do have to acknowledge that, well, there's probably a reason for that, right? Because the overall narratives about UCLA football are pretty dark, right? It doesn't compute to what would typically be a come-up season, but we're staring at this very close, and we think that there's reason to be more optimistic than that, and I think that's where we'll leave it, right, Mikey?
Totally.
So good, Mike. That was
I
great.
like this back and forth.
See, Mike, it's good. Yeah, that's good. We don't just have to say all our parts all at once.
Our chaos comes together.
At least it did today. At least it did today.
At least it did.
So we will be doing some more kind of like welcome to the Big Ten sort of previews as we go through the season. Just to put a pin in it, I want to get around to freaking Indiana again because of that. You already mentioned the hot spicy thing that their new coach kind of gave for the Bruins, coming to an old stadium to kick the Bruins' ass. I'm worried about that game, but I think the Bruins can also kick the shit out of them. But I'm worried about that game. But we'll come back with more kind of Big Ten introduction stuff because, of course, I still have to take advantage of all the notes I stole from my good friend Michael Castillo.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
But with that being said, Mike, we've already gone for over an hour, so I think we should get to Bill's favorite part of the show. What do you say?
Do it.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
Mike, what's brewing with you?
Oh, no, I was just trying to stay cool. It's been freaking hot lately, so I was trying to go into a chilled out summer mode, but at the same time trying to do some like I have a few weeks off before school resumes my work. Real work. Not that Bruin Report isn't real work. Man, I'm just burying myself here. Full-time work. I love you, bro.
You too.
But yeah, not much. Just
Hi, bro.
I'm definitely in teenage dad mode. Sunday, my daughter Violet left for cheer camp out in the desert, and it just a whole thing of like, oh, she needs shoes and this and that. Make sure she gets there by 5 p.m. for the bus and all this and that and that.
I will say this, Mikey, your Violet and my Malcolm together, the two of them both look like they're about 24 going on like 32. So we have trouble on our hands with that pair of kiddos.
Oh my God.
Off to bigger and better things. Cheerleader camp, football camp. Let's go.
I'm already teaching my kids to only in self-defense, punch people in the throat properly. Use your knuckle as a pointer, soft spot. Never punch anyone in the skull. That's like hitting a rock. Just stupid stuff like that. But at the same time,
sorry to interrupt you.
Like trying to having an emergency and within like 5 seconds going, okay, I can't panic because if they see me panic, they're going to panic, and I don't need that. I need
that's right, Mike.
Calmness. I need serenity so that I can figure this out. And sure enough, we've stuff like she over the week she was supposed to get all these orders, and a few of them were wrong, so they were like trying to run across town. It was just chaos. But other than that, we've just been like trying to stay cool, going to the movies. They absolutely love the beach, like even more so because Violet and Poppy are into volleyball, and all three of them are now really into boogie boarding. So like all the time they're like, bring the boogie board, and they are in the water taking the waves. I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool.
What's your drive to the beach?
I've had a spot for like 10, 15 years.
And how long does it take you to get there? Is what I'm asking.
It's
I don't want to burn out your spot. But
about an hour.
What's your travel?
About an hour.
Okay, yeah.
About
You're
an
still,
hour.
it's kind of what mine is. Okay, which is crazy. We both live in the city of Los Angeles, or you don't quite live in the city of Los Angeles.
Oh my God!
I live in Los Angeles. I'm an hour away from the beach.
I live in Los Angeles. I'm on the easternmost part of Los Angeles. But that's what I told my Uber driver who took me back to Indianapolis Airport. How I was like, wow, the drive from downtown to the airport is quick. He goes, yeah, is it? We're in traffic. I'm like, this is not traffic. And I told him, I live in Los Angeles, and it takes an hour to get to the other side of Los Angeles. And it took him a while to process that. He goes, oh, really? I'm like, oh, yeah.
That's
it's
funny.
Big and a lot of people.
Unwieldy.
They all suck.
And that's only
anyway. Jake was
part
with
of LA City, like let alone LA greater Los Angeles area. Like God help it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
God
like
help
even
you
if you're
Long Beach.
Yeah, even if you're counting everything from like Long Beach to San Bernardino to Long Beach to Orange County, yeah, it's nuts. But anyway, Jake, what's real with you?
Number one, thank you. I got a couple. I decided to kind of on a whim, but it's been successful. I decided I wanted to run 50 miles in July, and now I am ending the month with I have ran, tomorrow I'm going to run one more time, but as of right now, a little premature, 53.1 miles I got in this
Hells
month.
yeah, Jake.
So I'm pretty happy with myself.
Nice.
So that was cool. I was running kind of every other day, and somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 to 5 miles. And I mixed in a 10K there on one of the days. And it just, I am not like I will never run more than a 10K. I don't think, because I like to jog, but I like to jog for about an hour and then I'm done. So half marathons and marathons are never going to be in the cards for me. But I could do this, and I did it, and I'm glad I did. So that was fun.
Cheers, man.
And thank you. I appreciate that, Mikey. And then secondly, yesterday, Bill and I, was it yesterday? No, it was on Sunday. Sunday, Bill and I, because Bill called me at I woke up on Sunday morning expecting to do a bunch of stuff around the house and get a lot of things done. And then my daughter Megan wanted me to go to the kind of the Woodland Hills vintage sale. It takes over Pierce College, so that took up my morning.
Oh,
and then Bill called me.
I've been to that.
It's awesome. It really is good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's like the Pasadena one, only it's in Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we did that in the morning, and then my afternoon was scuttled when Bill called me. He's like, "Hey, I really want to go see Deadpool 3," and I'm like, "Okay, cool, let's do that." And so,
don't blow it. I'm seeing it this weekend.
not going to blow anything because
Good, thank you.
we go to watch the movie. We're there. Number one, a half hour of commercials, not previews.
Yeah, right. What is this? It's
a half
ridiculous.
hour of commercials. There was like 3 soda pop commercials in a row, but a half hour of commercials before the movie even starts. So we get there at for a 1:20 showing. We don't start the movie until after 1:50. Number one. Then number two, we watched half the movie. And by the way, Mike, I really enjoyed the first half of the movie. It's really weird. It's really meta. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but it is about as meta of a movie as you're going to possibly like. So if you like the Marvel movies, or if you like comic book movies, or if you like comic book things, you're going to geek out about stuff. And it's fun, and it's funny, and it's irreverent, and it's the first R-rated Disney movie, and all those things, right?
Yeah.
It's great for an hour. But then an hour in, the goddamn movie shut down for a fire alarm because I later found out that some dipshit was vaping and caused the whole theater to shut down. So some dude with his douche flute caused hundreds, and I mean hundreds of people to have to evacuate the goddamn movie theater.
His douche flute.
So I got to watch half of Deadpool right when a couple of the interesting cameos are kind of happening. I had to watch half of Deadpool, and I have no idea how the movie ends. And I'm trying not to watch spoilers all week, and I'm really pissed off about that. So everyone's
putting like mini spoilers. I'm like, stop it.
Oh, I'm so mad. All of you who choose to vape, number one, fine. You don't want to smoke. It's better for you. That's fine. It's all good. I'm not going to hate on you.
It is not.
It's absolutely better for you than smoking.
It's different.
No, it's absolutely better for you than smoking. I taught this stuff for 10 years. Look, is it better to do neither? Absolutely, positively, yes. But if you've been a smoker for 45 years and you want to choose to vape, it's going to be better for you in the long run. However, do you need to vape at the goddamn movie theater? No, you don't, you son of a bitch.
No.
Stop. And if you're 12, I'm going to slap the freaking vape right out of your mouth, right? Because
hell really dumb. What is with that?
Oh my God, so frustrating.
Free South Africa.
Thank you, Mikey. So, anyways,
sorry, I went in a different place.
It's okay. I have 3 passes to the movies now, but no time to go see a goddamn movie. And I've only watched half of Deadpool 3. So I'm waiting for Bill to steal it on his little pirate cable box, and then maybe I'll go watch it over there. But that's what's ruining me, Mikey. All right.
Cool.
Are you ready to go?
I am. I got to do some stuff. I got to. The boy's in the other room, so I got to start prepping for birthday stuff. Blowing up the balloons, putting up the signs, doing the wrapping his present. Don't tell him, any of you.
We won't.
Any of you tell my son.
It's your ass.
I'll come after you.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll come after you like the bear comes after the Hoosier.
That's good.
I said it.
Oh, Mike, just right off the bat, last thing, we have one nice little voicemail from our dear friend Carrie. So let's end the show, even though we normally end the show right now. Let's end the show after we listen to her voicemail because it's only 59 seconds.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
What's Bruin hotline is 805-399-4WBS.
4WBS, Sucker Ranch Roy.
Sucker Ranch Roy. And here is the call.
Hey, guys. It's the Crispy Bruin.
It's Crispy.
Wanted to call in and drive home today from work. Just heard you guys talk about the CFD 25 football game last week. Got me to pick it up, play it. I've been addicted ever since. Just want to say, Titus Mokio Atimalala, if he's as good in real life as he is in the game, oh my goodness, he's going to have one hell of a year. Just coming off the jet touch pass, the outside run, like there, 5'10", PMA, man. If he's as good as advertised, we're going to be a hell of a team. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, Crispy. I really appreciate it. And we appreciate the call, the hotline 805-394-WBS, Second Rain Troy. And Mikey, yeah, I as I said earlier, I kind of sucked my teeth into the NCAA game. I'm in a league. I am the Ohio Bobcats because we couldn't have any Power 5 teams. And it's been pretty fun so far. But, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Mikey.
Really, really quick about Titus. You know, I sentiment is the same. He didn't play last year, but towards the end of the previous year, that dude was making some plays. And if he's full go, again, that's another weapon. We haven't even talked about it. We talked about Flores and Sturdivant. But yeah, no, Titus is going to be a baller. No, totally. So anyway, last thoughts. Final thoughts.
He's just a baller, man.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mikey. Okay, well, good. Thank you, Crispy, very much for calling into the show. Give us another call at some point, everybody out there. Shoot us an email. And I guess until next time, Mikey, what do we say?
Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, bro, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.